Hi there, everyone. We have just gone live, I understand. I'm going to give it a minute or two for everyone to arrive, so bear with us. Awesome. It looks like we've got a fair number of people joined us already. This is obviously a live recording with all the pitfalls and the benefits that entails. So if anything does go wrong at our end or at your end, we will be sending out a recording afterwards. So you can view that. If you have any questions, please ask them. There should be a question box for you to enter them in, and we'll tackle as many of those as we can at the end of the session. If you've got any now to pass the time, then also feel free to send those through as well. I'm going to give it another probably minute before we get going. Okay, I think that's a short minute, but we'll get started anyhow. Welcome today to our product update for Speechmatics. We've titled it ASR Revolution. We've got some exciting news to share with you today, so we'll go into that in some depth. Before we do, we'll just introduce ourselves. So this presentation, there we go. Stuart, do you want to go first?
Yeah, hi, I'm Stuart, product manager working with the speech and machine learning teams here at Speechmatics. I've been here for 3 years now, working with them in our languages and also our features. So really excited to share what we have done today with you guys.
Awesome, thanks, Stuart. So I'm David Agman-Smith. I joined Speechmatics around about a year ago now, just over. I have to say I was a bit skeptical before I started about some of the claims Speechmatics were making, particularly around accuracy. In my head, I was curious how a small startup in Cambridge could outcompete some of the biggest guns in the tech industry. I'm happy to say after being here that not only have I found out the substantiated claims are true, but also been able to work on the next step. So this is what the focus of this presentation is that next step, the evolution of our core product, particularly around accuracy. In terms of the topics covering today, so the intro, we're sort of halfway through now. I will take us through a look at our new models, what that means in terms of accuracy, also what that means in terms of efficiency and speed. Then I'll hand over to Stuart, who'll go through some of the other feature improvements that have been made at the same time, and our new translation product. Then we'll look at the release schedule in terms of timing, when this hits, when you can access it yourselves, and Stuart will run us through a few demos so you can see it in action. To start with, this is probably something many of you are familiar with, but the key metrics when you're looking at designing an ASR solution are around accuracy, speed, and efficiency. Now, Speechmatics have focused on these throughout our history. Accuracy has obviously been paramount for us, but also we know that there's important implications for the turnaround speed, for the transcription, and also the processing cost, as these have material impact on our customers. Now, in the past, we've optimized this for CPUs, and we've done very well at that. So all three of these at a very competitive level on our CPU-based models, to the point now that we've recently launched a beta where you can get our standard level of efficiency on a module which is run on laptops, so Windows or Mac laptops. If you're interested in that, please talk to your sales rep or contact at Speechmatics, and they can tell you more about that. But for today, in this presentation, the important point is GPUs have evolved and are now at the state where for inference, they're incredibly powerful at processing efficiently. So we've been spending a number of months now utilizing GPUs, really ripping out the guts of our pipeline and getting the heavy lifting to be done on what's called a Triton GPU server. So that is a big change under the hood. Now, what that means for our customers is that accuracy, we were reaching a level before that to push further would have an impact on our speed or efficiency. We can now use bigger, better models to really push up that accuracy. Equally, we can do so while still maintaining our speed and efficiency. And in fact, as I'll show you in a minute, we don't just maintain those, we improve those as well. So where do we get to on accuracy? First of all, there's possibly a confusing image for some of you. We have labeled this generation of models ASR after the constellation. I am not quite sure the answer of why we've chosen a bear as our mascot, but I am fairly sure or very sure of the accuracy levels we've got. So let us move on to those. Quite at the top is from one of our customers. I was speaking to a customer just recently, and they told me those words, that we are, the most accurate on the planet, which we have heard from a number of our customers, and which gave me early validation of Speechmatic's claims as well as our testing. But there was a challenge with that statement. The challenge was, look, the industry keeps on evolving. How are you keeping ahead of the game? The answer was this new generation of models, ASR-based on GPUs, gives us the ability to once again take a leap ahead of the competition. So in terms of where we've landed there, comparing with our CPU-based models, for standard, we're 35% better. For enhanced, we're 22% better. The thing is also benchmarking us against the competition. Because we are the most accurate, there's more onus on us to validate our claims painstakingly, and we've done a significant exercise to do this. So we've run a large number of test sets, both competitors' ones and other industry standard test sets to get these results. And we've compared ourselves against all the best ASR providers out there. So the results there are for English, which these models we focus on first, and we'll get to the schedule for other languages at the end. But for English versus the best alternative, we are 10% ahead. And for enhanced, we are 22% ahead. So that should be considered in the frame that the number 2 position, the competitor who came second on these test sets, varied between the different results. We were continuously the top, and by a good healthy margin. So I can say with my hands on heart that we are now unequivocally the most accurate ASR on the planet. And the good news continues. So when we look at how this compares across different accents, across different audio situations where you might have more noise and other bias, we do even better than those numbers. So for accents, for example, comparing against some common industry test sets, we're 24% better than everyone else. For noise, we're 30% better than everyone else. So part of this is the heritage of our using self-supervised learning, which we've had in play for about a year now. When we combine that, which means we don't have to use labeled data to quickly get all of this training completed, with the new GPU approach and the new models, we can have this sort of breakout level of ASR accuracy across all these different things. And to bring up to life slightly here, we're going to bravely attempt a move out to a blog. This may bear with us. We're going to go on mute for a second while we play this. Go ahead, Stuart.
Now say it in your southern accent again.
The dog licked the oil and everybody laughed.
Okay, now in English. Now without,
English?
yeah. Now without an accent.
The dog licked the oil and everyone laughed.
Now say it in your southern accent
The
again.
dog licked the oil and everybody laughed.
Okay, now in English.
Hopefully I'm unmuted, and hopefully you heard that. I quite like that example. I had no idea what he said when I first heard that. There's plenty of other interesting examples in that blog, so I encourage you to have a look. You can scan the QR code there if you like. I think we'll also be posting the address to that in the chat. It also goes into more details in the test sets we've used and the analysis we've undertaken to get these results. One last slide for me around accuracy. This is an important one for anyone doing real-time transcription. We look at the latency and how the accuracy degrades when we shorten that latency. So if the turnaround time is 10 seconds, we're on par with our batch results. But the interesting thing for Speechmatics and for our results is that that holds true even at small latencies. So this is the case for our CPU, and we've worked hard to make sure it's the case for our GPU as well, that even when you're getting down to the 3-second mark, you see that the difference between the green line, which is batch, and where the red line, which is the GPU RT is, actually it's very little difference. Even at 2 seconds, it's starting to make some impact, but hardly any. So that means for real time, we're even better. It's hard for a human to do a 2-second transcription with the levels of accuracy that we're showing there in 2 seconds. So this is the point where really we start getting ahead of what a human can do. I'm going to actually just say out one example there. We've had a few beta customers using our new models and our new engine in the last few weeks. One of them has so been enamored by it that they've chosen to use it already for live broadcasting a major car racing event. And as you can imagine, for car racing with a massive amount of background noise, short audio clips, and many other sort of difficult factors, it was hard to get that done by anyone else. They tested it with us first. They found out we were streets ahead, and they've gone all the way to actually use that on live captioning. So I think the proof is in the pudding there, and that's one example, and there will be many more to come. On that note, I'll pass over to, actually I won't, sorry, I've gone a little bit early. Talk about efficiency. So efficiency is particularly relevant for our on-prem customers. This is the other part of the story with GPUs. When we compare the processing for CPU and GPU, we've done a thorough analysis over some length of time to make sure that we've got clear results we can share with you, and also so that we can optimize ourselves. What we've done here is we've taken a VM and we've used the same VMs we use in our SaaS environment for CPU, and a VM, the same ones we use in our SaaS environment for GPU, T4 based ones. And then we've pushed the throughput to the maximum amount possible on both. And then we've had a look at what that means in terms of processing costs. So obviously that takes into account the cost of the VM itself, and the results are there. So we are now 3 times more efficient on standard than if you processed on CPU and 1.7 enhanced. And we're doing a few more tweaks to improve that even further in the coming weeks. We also want to talk about speed very quickly. A number of our customers ask us this. So for on-prem, again, we've got more than a multiple of 3 for the RTFs when we look at low conditions. That's how much faster GPU is versus CPU. On our SaaS, it's a complicated picture because it depends on a large variety of bits and pieces. For example, the length of audio, the time of day, and the number of additional features you load. But on average, we're seeing around about a 2 times speed up in RTF on standard and about 1.5 in enhanced. And again, looking at what that means, just bringing out 1 point example. If for 20-minute files and longer, that's an RTF of less than 0.05, which means that in 3 minutes you can process an hour of audio. So across the board, the GPUs have allowed us to make advances, both the accuracy leap, the efficiency, and the speed. And now is the right point to hand over to Stuart.
Thanks, David. Yeah, that's really obviously very interesting on those points around efficiency and accuracy, but this release is actually even bigger than that. We've done work across other features in our products, and I'll come on to talk about translation as well and what that can mean for you. So first I wanted to talk about Speaker Diarization. So that's labeling speakers in the audio. And so we released last year our real-time Speaker Diarization that allowed in a real-time stream for captioning, or maybe in a call center for real-time analytics, to do labeling of speakers. So this says which speaker was speaking and what did they say, and is obviously key for doing, for example, analytics of downstream. And having accurate speaker labeling is important to make sure we attribute the speech to the right person. So we see that in this release, we have improved the accuracy for the real-time Speaker Diarization by about 30% on our standard versus our previous release, and 14% on our best possible system from our previous release. So these are really good gains that again will affect people who want to use real-time for either speaker change or for speaker labeling. Now, we also made improvements to the batch system as well. These improvements for both real-time and batch are available for our English, and building on top of the self-supervised models that we've been talking about for the accuracy of transcription. So we're using the same technology to give us these gains and the ability to progress these even better models than we had before. The batch improvements here and the real-time improvements will roll out to other languages as we go forward, and rolling out the new ASR generation for the other languages, which we'll talk about in the schedule later on. Another key piece to your transcription is the readability and how professional the output can look. And it's something that we've been focusing on for English and made some really key improvements on. So common measurements like kilograms or meters per second, we're now making sure these are consistently formatted in a way that makes it much easier to read. Telephone numbers and email addresses are now also being formatted to, again, improve that readability. But also another few improvements that are there that allow you to get a much cleaner output for your transcript. One of the features that we launched at the same sort of time, as well as the new accuracy models, are the automatic language identification. So available in batch SaaS. It's something we've had on premise from last year, but now is available in our SaaS. It allows you to automatically detect the language spoken in the audio from the majority of our languages, and then do a transcription based off of that. So if you pass in audio, you don't know if it's English or Spanish, the system can detect it, the right language, and then carry on the transcription to ensure you get an accurate transcription. It's also possible that you can set a list of your likely languages. So we think that this is going to help with multilingual workflows where you have lots of different languages, you don't know which one the audio could come from, and to be able to simplify user interfaces and to avoid needing to ask for languages up front. One of the most exciting things I'm going to talk about here is the translation. It's something new for Speechmatics, not something we've done before this release, which actually came out at the end of January. So it's been available in our batch SaaS for some time. So if you've tried it out, it would be great to hear your feedback. If not, you're able to go out and try it now and give us any input and early on feedback. Why would you want to use translation? Well, there's a few reasons. The media subtitles to allow you to make your content available internationally is one fairly obvious example, but this allows you to spread out your media and actually reach more audiences, and allows you to do it in a way that's more automated. And I'll talk about how you can use our translation in a minute. Maybe meetings for international organizations where you want to help communication between employees, and also in the call centers for analytics where you're able to take, say, English, Spanish calls in the same call center and be able to use the same consistent workflow through in English. So why would you use us for speech and translation? Well, we have a single speech API call that you're able to use to get transcription and translation. And you're able to do that for 34 languages to and from English. So you're able to translate both ways with us. We also offer the best accuracy, as David was talking about. It's the best accuracy you can get from a transcription system, and that also affects the translation. The higher the accuracy of the transcription, the higher the accuracy you get for the translation. If you want to, you can scan the QR code here and you'll be able to see the documentation with more information. And we're also making this available for no additional cost in the API until the 30th of April. So please do go test and give us your feedback. Now, at the moment, as I said, it's available in batch. So that means that on batch SaaS, you're able to run and get translation for your audio. Real time is coming soon. So we expect real time to be coming in early Q2. At the moment, you're able to translate from English to multiple languages as well. So for example, you might want to translate to a French, Spanish, and German audience. You can do that in one single API call. You also get back speaker labels so that you actually can see who said what, even through the translations, which we think is quite valuable for conversation translations. And also in information about start and end times for each segment of the translation can be valuable for user interfaces and also captioning workflows. This is a quick overview of the actual languages supported. Obviously, there's a lot there. It's something you can check in our documentation. We support 69 translation pairs. As I said, 34 to and from English, but also we do support Norwegian Bokmål, doing the translation to Nynorsk. Nynorsk is a requirement from the government to support a certain percentage of audio for Norwegian customers. So if you're working on Norwegian audio, I recommend you to go and give that a test. Now, obviously, you want to look at how the performance is and how word error rate affects the translation. So what we did is we compared for Spanish to English translation, looking at Google versus Speechmatics. This is using obviously our latest translation and our latest transcription. So in this case, the Spanish translation to English, the word error rate for the Spanish audio for us is ahead of Google. And that overall, the end score for the blur score is ahead. In this case, the higher blur score is better, the lower on word error rate is better. And blur score is one of those common metrics used for translation measurement across many different vendors. So it's relatively early days. It's our first release of translation. As I said, we want to see where we can improve, and obviously get your feedback on this. It would be very important. So just going to pass back to David, who's going to talk through a bit more about what's coming and how it's going to roll out in the future.
He will. I see there's already been 2 questions here saying the new ASR models coming to containers as well. I think a couple of you have asked that, so we'll answer that here. We've released the new models to our batch SaaS and also to our self-service, including RT, so that those are available now. They have been since last week, last Thursday. So you can have a look and see the results yourself. And if you're using our batch SaaS, you'll be using the latest models with the latest accuracy. In terms of what's coming next, we'll be releasing it to the RT SaaS enterprise customers later on this month. and we'll be releasing it to on-prem containers. Now, we have done beta with a number of customers already, so and we've got, again, very good feedback from them, both on the deployment and on the accuracy. So that will be a fast follow-on from this release. Ask your account manager or Speechmatics rep for more details about that. Following on from that, we'll be releasing this to other languages. So obviously English is great. The obvious question is, when are we doing the rest? Spanish, German, and French will be following. That will be in April. We'll do SAS first, and then we'll do those to the containers as well. And we will be releasing all our languages later on this year, so in Q2, and I've put June here for SAS and July for the on-prem containers. So hopefully that answers that question. In terms of translation.
Yeah, so as mentioned earlier, the batch SAS that we have, the translation available for you to go and use now, either through our portal or through your API. And real-time SAS we're looking to bring out in April timeframe. So that will be available for the real-time streaming and translation through our SAS. We'll then look to bring this to the on-prem team, and that will come through in around the end of Q2, so around July time. We're expecting to be able to have batch and real-time on-premise available for customers to use alongside our transcription. Okay. So usually at this point we'd have a demo with Demir. Unfortunately, he's off and couldn't make the webinar. So you're going to have a demo from myself, and I'm going to take you through very quickly using our portal to do translation, and also a quick look at the real time. So just going to come across. So our portal, you may not have seen it if you're already one of our enterprise customers. This has been a way for people to try out our tools and to get access early on. So you can sign up for this and you get some free hours each month, and you're able to evaluate different languages and basically all of our features. But of course, anything I show here you can do through the API. So if you have an API token already, you can enable it quite easily. Just go to your documentation and you'll be able to set it up there. So I'm going to sign in as my demo account. And when you sign in here, you have a few pieces on the page, but essentially we're going to look at the file transcription and we're going to look at the real-time transcription. So when we look at the file transcription first, I'll show you how to go through and do your translation as well as transcription. So we choose our file first. In this case, I have a clip, very short clip from Perseverance landing. We're landing on Mars. So that's our audio file, that's in English. So I've set the language to English here. And I want to translate it, in this case, maybe to Spanish. And you see here we can select the language, and it is possible to select multiple if you want to do multiple translations. And then you can choose whether you do enhanced or the standard. And for the speed, in this case, I'm just going to select standard. And we'll do the transcription, and we'll actually then see the translation after this is completed. Like I said, if you're using the API, when you access this, you just going to need to set the target languages, and you either set Spanish or French or multiple target languages in this case. And it's also possible for going Spanish back to English. So here we are. Now we have the Perseverance clip completed, and I can click on it and come through. And I will see on the left here, I have my English, which is the transcription. As you see earlier, what I was talking around the meters per second, 300 meters, now much nicer formatting, very much more consistent as well. And over here, we get our translation, and the translation assists the formatting as well on a lot of these entities. So we have that for the translation, and in the portal, it is possible to go back and see other jobs you've done in the past. So you can come in here and you can see your previous jobs. And I did one earlier from Spanish. It's a simple learning Spanish through stories. So this is my clip, and I can see on the left now, this was transcribed in Spanish. And on the right, we have our translation that was to English. And so in this case, we can see that we've got the two here, but in the case of when you're translating from English, you can obviously have multiple translations and you can swap between seeing them at the top here. So that's translation, relatively simple to use through the portal, also quite simple to use through the API. So go and check out our documentation, either from the QR code or just on our website. Last thing, whilst I'm here, I thought I'd like to show you is the real-time transcription. And this is available either through our website now, and you don't need to log into the portal, or by logging into the portal. And all you have to do to get started is click transcribing. Start transcribing, and we'll start transcribing. You see we start getting words back. So the words in italics here are the partials, and these are coming back very quickly, and you can see actually they're pretty accurate when you've got good audio. And the finals are when we've actually given you the final best guess that we have for the transcription, and that is coming through as the words that are in non-italics. So here's the transcription, and in this portal you're also able to set some of the properties for the transcription. I'll just stop my transcribing, show you those that are available under the more options. And for example, you can scroll down and you can add custom words where you have words that aren't recognized today. You can even bring down the latency, as David was talking about earlier, to the 2 seconds, and you can then run your transcription again. And this time it will be making the final predictions much quicker, but you'll still be getting your partials coming through. So that is the update here for the transcription. Obviously, a lot of you have already been using us, but if you wanted to come in here and look at the translation, that's one way, or through your API. Okay, so I'm going to finish my demo here and basically pass back to David to do final wrap up.
Brilliant. Thank you, Stuart. So we'll go on to questions in a second. Just a reminder that this is a recorded session, so we will be sending that out as well if you want to share it with colleagues, etc. If you do have any questions and still want to put them in, please feel free. We'll go through a list very shortly. Also, just want to say it's been a massive effort for our company. I know it's been really pleasing to see customers take it so quickly and see the results of all this. I would encourage you to go onto the portal, to look at the blog and see the detail and have a play yourself. We think you will be wowed. Now let's have a look at some of the questions that we have got here.
I've got one here. What phone number formats are you supporting for the formatting? At the moment, we'll be looking at the just common landline, mobile, and business phone numbers, North America and UK, and so that covers those areas. We'll also have Australia, and so those are the common ones we're using at the moment for providing formatting.
Cool. And there's another one which I think I'll take is, how high a volume of traffic do I need for GPUs to cost in over CPUs? Now, that's a really interesting question. When we kicked off this project, we expected GPUs to just be used for high volume situations and customers with large throughput. What we found actually is that they're so efficient that isn't the case. So if we compare again the two VMs we use in our SaaS, one with CPUs and one with CPUs and GPUs, the latter can actually, you can do a lesser amount of CPUs and a single GPU, T41 in this case, and you can have a lower costing VM, which will have a higher throughput than the CPU version, which has VNNI and other enhancements on it. So to get the accuracy, you can actually start from the get-go with a GPU container, and you will cost in terms of processing cost from the beginning. Now, obviously, there's other things to take into account, like what hardware have you got already, what particular workflows you're working with. But the answer is a strong one there for us, and it was a pleasant surprise to have.
The quick ones. So one question: does the real-time support speaker labels? Yes, so you can now in real time enable the diarization to give you speaker labels. And what that does is every word will get a speaker label. So S1, S2, as we find speakers through your stream. So that is available. You can use it in the real-time SaaS. It's also available on-prem. With the on-prem release coming up for English, we will see that improvement coming to the on-premise as well. So yes, it's available today. Go and test it out. It also allows you to give, obviously, speaker change points. So you can say, oh, now it's changed from S1, speaker 1, to speaker 2, and you'll know that that point is a change. So if you need to use that just for the captioning as well. What's the maximum size or number of minutes that you can use for an audio file in transcription? It probably depends where you're working here. Through our SaaS, using the fetch URL, you can use files that go above what you can do when you post. So those files, we've seen people doing transcription of over 8 hours. What you'll have to appreciate is that when it gets to that long, your turnaround time is still a percentage of the actual transcription length. But yes, we've seen customers who've been able to submit really long files. And in real time, we have customers who do 24-hour, 7-day-a-week type real-time streams where they're constantly running our real-time engine and running for long periods of time.
And the next question here, someone's asked what RTF stands for. So it's real-time factor, and that's the measurement of speed up we get for our batch traffic. So if you have an hour of audio and we can process that in 20 minutes, and that's RTF of 0.33333. There's another question here, which is, will you support? No, sorry, I think Stuart's already covered that one. This question is, how many test sets did you compare against for your accuracy analysis? So good question. 21 different test sets, over 400 hours of data, and that's roughly sort of 4 million words used for that.
And you can actually go onto the blog and you'll be able to see which test sets and the actual accuracy we got on each of those, also more detail on those word error rates. I didn't actually answer that question around the language ID. The question was, the language ID in the SaaS has been updated to support more languages. When would it be coming to the containers? We're looking at Q2 for the release to on-prem to be able to update the on-prem edition of the language ID to support the additional features we've added here for the SaaS. And following on from that, there's some questions around language ID about what we call code switching, where you have in one audio multiple languages, where you switch from one to the other. This is something that we have on our future roadmap, and we would obviously like to hear from you. If you haven't already spoken to our sales team, the account executive on this, please do reach out to them and to make sure we know you're interested. But it's something that we are considering. And the other question about that is around real-time and language ID. How can we work to support multiple languages in the same real-time stream? And this, of course, is a challenging task, and it probably depends on the type of audio, whether it's big chunks of people speaking in Spanish followed by English, perhaps for parliamentary reasons, or whether it's more small segments where it's people using English loanwords, for example. As noted in one of the questions, some of our enhanced models are now starting to be able to transcribe in other languages as well, especially English. So you will start to see some of the English words being transcribed from, say, a Spanish or a German audio. So it is starting to head towards that point where we can handle this scenario better. And we will be looking at how we can improve that even further and start labeling it better as well for your use cases.
And there's a question here, what do we think about ChatGPT and generative approaches like that, as well as Whisper AI? So we've included, for ChatGPT, I'll start with that. That's, I think, an opportunity for many in this industry. Obviously, Ingress is important there, and when we look at the likes of Whisper, we've included that in our analysis. Whisper is one of the alternatives we looked at, and again, we outcompete them significantly across many fronts. So not just the accuracy, also we do real time. Also, we don't have issues with hallucinations. The efficiency, the processing efficiency on CPU for us is far and away better, and also for GPU. There's many reasons why actually they're just another alternative out there, and we have a planet beating ASR system for you. There's one more question, I think at the end, probably for you, Stuart.
Did we answer the one on RTF?
Yeah, I've done that one.
I think
real-time speaker labels.
Yes, we covered that as well.
Okay.
So we've, I think, covered those questions.
Perfect. I think that will probably be a wrap then. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully today's session was useful. Please do continue to send any questions this is stimulated through to us or to whoever your contact with Speechmatics is, and we can get back to you. But once again, thank you from me.
Thank you from me, and see you soon.